Hi, I'm Rachel, a resource expert and career coach for museum educators who are stretched thin but long to fall in love with their world-changing work. After over 15 years with my own hands in the glitter, I know how it feels when your board thinks your work is childish because you work with children. I know how hard it is to lead a tour on a difficult subject, and I know the frustration of waiting on a school bus that is 20 minutes late. Or worse, 10 minutes early. As I'm heading towards the second half of my career, I find myself with a passion to help my fellow educators reverse the chronic state of being overworked and underappreciated so that they can reclaim their creativity and emotional energy. Join me and my museum buddies as we share our best tips, tricks, and techniques for modern museum education. Okay, friends, welcome back to the 12 Days of Christmas Museum Education Edition, my holiday gift to the museum educator community. We are winding down. It is almost January, and we have today and one more day left in this special series. Today is all about a topic that resonates with so many of us: how to unlock joy in your museum education career. My deepest wish is that we are all thriving in and not just surviving our jobs. If you have ever felt like you are stuck in survival mode, just trying to stay afloat amidst all the demands of museum life, then this is the one for you. So I am going to encourage you to flip the script. We're going to rediscover the joy that brought us here to museum work in the first place. This topic is very personal for me because I have been on both extremes of this spectrum. I have spent months and years where I loved every second of my job, and months and years where pulling into the parking lot outside of my museum just made my stomach lurch and every muscle in my body tense. I have cried tears of joy and tears of frustration at my museum job. And I have so much to say on the topic of work-life balance and finding joy in museum work. For those of us who work in museums, it is often a passion project type of career. We get into it because we are passionate about the subject, because we're passionate about making a difference, because we're passionate about the audiences. But the day-to-day grind of more work than there are hours in the day, not enough staff, the classic museum joke that we all have other duties as assigned, it can wear on you. And one of my biggest passions now is to help museum educators avoid that fate. Our work matters so much, and you matter so much. So as we leave 2024 behind us and work our way into 2025, I want to give you a few parting thoughts to help inspire you as you move into a new year. And if this topic resonates with you, please send me an email to rachel@modernmuseumeducation.com and let me know. Because if this is something that resonates with the listeners of this podcast, we will absolutely dive more into this next year if it would be helpful for this community. Because I think that this is something that a lot of us struggle with on a regular basis. So to help you rediscover some of your joy in museum work, let me ask you a question. What lit the spark for you in the first place? Was it the first time you saw a child's eyes go wide with wonder? Was it the first time you saw a family interact together, learning something, taking something meaningful from your museum exhibit or from your program? Was it a conversation with a visitor? What was it that struck your heart so deeply, that sparked a fire in you for museum education work? Whatever it was, sit with that memory. Hold on to that, because that spark is your anchor. Your passion for museum education fuels everything. When you reconnect with it, not only do you reignite your joy, but you also radiate that outward. Your coworkers, visitors, your staff, your volunteers, everybody can feel that energy. So take a moment in this kind of quiet time of the year and reflect on what your favorite moments in museum education are, and ask yourself, how can I bring more of that into my daily work? Second, remember that museum education is not a solo act. I mean, I know it feels that way so much of the time, especially if you work in a small museum and you're the only educator. But really, museum education is a collaborative performance. It's a collaboration between you and your audience. It's a collaboration between your museum and all of the other museums that your visitors attend over their lifetime. Plus, the professional museum community is literally the very best. There are so many colleagues out there who are ready and waiting to support you. The more that we connect with others, the more that we share and learn and grow. So whether it's a brainstorming session with a coworker or joining a professional association or just reaching out to a fellow educator for advice, your network is your superpower. One of my favorite strategies is to schedule a coffee chat with a peer. So just send an email to someone and say, hey, it's been a while. Let's catch up. What are you doing at your museum? Let me tell you what we're doing at our museum. Share some ideas, bounce ideas off of each other. These conversations spark more ideas that you may never have seen coming. And at the very least, you can commiserate together. Remember, the more connections that you foster, the stronger your support system becomes. Third, keep feeding your curiosity. We talk about lifelong learning all of the time for our visitors, but how often do we apply that mindset to ourselves? Thriving in museum education means staying curious and actively seeking growth opportunities. So explore workshops and conferences and online forums. An inspiring webinar can spark ideas for you. It can transform your programming. Never underestimate the power of investing in yourself. It pays dividends, not just for your career, but for your institution, and more importantly, for the community that you serve. And fourth, this one is super, super important. Learn the art of setting boundaries. Now, balance is something that we talk a lot about, but we don't do very well. Burnout is real, and it creeps up on even the most passionate educators. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It is essential. You need to feel empowered to say no when your plate is full, and you need to be able to create space for self-care. And I know that this is really hard for a lot of people in the museum field because we do give so much of ourselves professionally, but also personally to our work. And I just want to take a minute and remind you that you are more than your job. Your job matters. I say this all the time. Museums have the power, and museum education has the power to change the world. I truly believe that. I truly believe that we are doing world-changing work, but also you cannot do that work entirely by yourself, and you are more than the work that you do. Even though it's super important, you are more important than that. So create space for the things that refuel you. And if you can find a way to weave these things into your workday, even better. So can you take a quiet walk at work? Museums generally tend to be aesthetically pleasing places. So if you happen to work in a museum that is a beautiful place to be, take advantage of that. Get up and leave your office for a few minutes every day. Take a walk. If you have a garden outside, take a walk outside. If you have lovely galleries, just take a walk through the galleries. If you have a favorite piece in your collection that's just pretty and it's not important for any particular reason other than it just pulls at you, go sit in front of that piece and just enjoy it. Sometimes we get so caught up in the interpretation of our spaces that we forget to wonder at them like our visitors do. And the cool thing is that we work in places that people pay actual money to see. So enjoy that. Take advantage of that. Get up and take a walk. I would also encourage you to turn off your phone at night. I was the absolute worst about this when I was responsible for booking field trips. I would check my email just literally constantly. And I get it. Sometimes there are seasons. If it's summer camp registration time, or have a teacher who's planning to come the next day, but there's bad weather, and so you just may need to make sure that you're coordinating. I mean, I get it. There are exceptions to this rule, but generally speaking, try not to check your phone at night. Don't check your emails in the evening and on weekends. Remember that your work is super important, but you are more important, and your health is more important. A well-rested and rejuvenated educator is far more effective than one who is running on empty. Finally, let's talk about innovation. Museums are evolving, and we should also be evolving with them. So don't be afraid to try new ideas. Experiment with some new technique or some new technology or some new program element. Rethink your traditional programming. I talked about the power of innovation and innovative ideas on an earlier episode in this series. I would really encourage you to check that episode out to consider how you can incorporate some originality into your programming. Impactful projects come from educators who are willing to think beyond that status quo, and shaking things up can make your workday more exciting, not just for your visitors, but it can also make it more exciting for you to come to work in the first place. So consider this your invitation to dream up something big, whether it's designing a more inclusive field trip program or finding creative ways to connect your exhibits to current events. You have the power to leave a lasting legacy for your visitors, and that can also make your work life feel more rewarding. When you feel like a hamster on a wheel doing the same thing every single day, that can be draining. So consider the power of innovation to relight the spark that made you fall in love with museum education in the first place. So here's the big takeaway. Thriving in museum education is about more than just getting through the day. It is about reconnecting with your passion, building meaningful connections, continuing to learn, setting appropriate boundaries, and embracing innovation. So as we're heading into the new year, I'm going to challenge you to take one step toward unlocking more joy in your work. Reflect, connect, learn, rest, innovate. Whatever feels most needed for you right now, start there. Do that thing. And remember, we are all in this together, crafting experiences that inspire curiosity and wonder for everyone around us. Okay, y'all, we have one more day left in our 12 Days of Christmas series, so be sure to check in tomorrow for that, and I'll see you back here then. Thank you so much for joining us. If this episode has been helpful to you or interesting, please take a minute to like, subscribe, and leave a review, which will help other museum educators find this resource. As always, if you would like to work with me more directly, have any questions, or would like to be a guest on the podcast, you can find links to all that and more on my website, modernmuseumeducation.com. I'll see you back here next time, and in the meantime, please remember that your work is not childish just because you work with children.